Okay, let's play some chess, and I'll teach some more. In the other video, I went over some pretty complex stuff for people who already knew chess. Let's just go over something like how the moves are in the chess. And this is how you set it up. The individual pieces, like the pawn, the pawn moves one space. Starting out, it can move an optional 2. And the pawn does not attack directly the way it moves, unlike all the other pieces. The pawn moves 1 forward, but the pawn attacks only to 2 front spaces diagonally to it. And the pawn has a special ability that if you reach the other side, it becomes any other piece. Either the queen, the bishop, knight, or another rook. Then the rook, basically the pieces are most important near the king, and the points are pretty much going in that direction. Some people like the knight. Some people like the rook more than they like the knight, I don't know. But anyway. The rook can move horizontally, side to side, in any direction, in its 4 directions, any distance. The knight moves in L pattern along a T, along a capital T. The knight moves along an L pattern like this, and his choice is a T, capital T. So, when you have a knight, you have, let's see here, let me count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 possible places to go, and a large distance that you can cover. But it can't get something right beside it, so that's its disadvantage. The bishop is the diagonal piece. The bishop attacks along lines that are diagonal, and it's sometimes hard to see when you're playing or using a bishop what it can attack. So you have to be aware and practice chess a lot to know where it's going to land, and be aware of when someone steps in its area, because it can get something all the way across. And then the queen, which is everybody's favorite piece, normally can do both the rooks and the bishop's moves, diagonal and horizontal. And then it pretty much dominates spaces around it, one space around it. But you only get one, so it's very precious. You don't want to lose it. And then the king can move one space around him, but he is the key or keystone piece, because if he's surrounded or threatened, then you lose. He can't be captured. You just, you surround him, and so you have queen and a rook. If you threaten the king, then he has to leave that space, and your game is forfeit and paused until you move out of that. So you can't go to another piece unless that piece can jump in the way or take the queen. So here I have to move here, and then to get a checkmate you have to surround the king. So a typical scenario, and a good scenario for one player, is to have queen and a rook and surround him like this. The king can't run away this way, and then he's also attacked, and the distance will be kept by the queen. In this reverse situation, the rook does not keep the distance because you can get diagonal to a rook. The queen keeps distance better, but it's very complex. You have to learn the pieces one game at a time. It's like, every game adds to your skill. And you could say, oh, well, it's all one game, because you're facing a logic structure, you're facing a game that doesn't change, and you get better at it. It also, pretty much helps people concentrate and helps people to think in logic instead of everyday things. It's a getaway from some things in life. So anyway, in this situation, king has to move this way, and you just have a pattern of the king has to run while the other two chase, and then at this point the game is over, because king's completely surrounded. All these spaces are dominated. But, something that could stop that is, say there's a pawn here and you move behind. And then the queen doesn't want to sacrifice. So then that takes some effort by forcing the king away. This forces the king to move away, and then you have to keep threatening. So they have to move away. But you can get into a position where the rook protects and the pawn can't attack this position. But do something like this and chase the king, basically. Well, with that siren, I'll go ahead and stop. End video.